Hey guys, so this is going to be our first review video on this channel. Yeah, it's a fun time. I guess I'm not really doing any individual movie here, but it is the Hobbit Trilogy that I'm going over. I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what my thoughts are on it. And I thought overall the trilogy was really good. You won't see a lot of people saying that it's really good. I guess in a sense, my point of view is kind of biased because, well, I grew up with Lord of the Rings, and honestly, seeing Middle-earth again is like a really cool experience. Whether the quality of the movies be good or not, but I thought the quality was good. I didn't think the movies did not deliver. I really thought that Peter Jackson did a good job. There was a lot of filler, of course. You got to have a lot of filler. You know, if you're making a trilogy out of such a small book, you definitely have to have some amount of filler. What I found that was interesting was that, you know, you can't really please everyone. There's always the people that will say the tone of Lord of the Rings was perfect. You know, it had this dark, serious tone, and it was really, really cool. It fit really well. But for The Hobbit, at first people haven't realized that the Hobbit was actually made for kids. Although the book actually itself does get dark, near the end, especially with the battle. For the most part, I mean, it's just intended for kids. That's what Tolkien was going for. So when Peter Jackson kind of combined the two tones of both the kind of serious Lord of the Rings type of tone and the like source material tone from the Hobbit book, I think he like laid a decent combination there in terms of the tones. I thought that was probably the best way to go in terms of like directing such a movie. You know, you would not please fans if you just went with the source material tone, making it completely for kids. You know, that wouldn't work out. But at the same time, if you were to make the tone on par with Lord of the Rings, it wouldn't please all fans either. So yeah, I thought the combination was good. I didn't think it was that bad. There were songs and different things, a lot of cheesy, kind of campy, I guess you could say unrealistic sequences, like with the barrel riding scene and all that. You know, that was a little... But I mean, it could, like, to some, it could look like really cool, you know? I mean, Bomber finally got his his action sequence in. You know, you don't really get to see much of him, I guess, fighting and taking out a bunch of orcs, but I mean, he does, of course. But that was like one of his bigger moments, you know, riding in the barrel, breaking out of it, and then just twirling on some orcs, you know. Of course, it is cheesy, kind of campy, but hey, you know, it's the Hobbit. But at the same time, I mean, you would have Gimli being thrown around in Lord of the Rings. Same with like Legolas surfing on like Mumak's trunks and stuff. I mean, Legolas is immortal, so he has been training for a long time, and he should be like adept to that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's it's, you know, still, still, it is a bit campy, and you can't really deny it. And, you know, you could make comparisons with both the trilogies, but my opinion is that, of course, Lord of the Rings as a whole, that trilogy was better. But anyways, I'm kind of going off course. I have to talk about some of the notes I put down. So for the overall story, basically to sum up the whole thing, Bilbo is met by Gandalf, and he reluctantly goes with this company of dwarves and pretty much just help them reclaim their homeland Erebor, and there's a lot of stuff in between, you know. So, the individual characters, you know, I thought Martin Freeman did a really good job with Bilbo. I think he's a good actor. I don't really know too much about him beforehand. I'm pretty sure he did, like, the Sherlock show with Benedict Cumberbatch, but besides that, I don't really know. I'm sure I've seen him elsewhere. Anyways, he was good. He was good as Bilbo. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. He was good, of course, as always. That's another thing. I mean, I really appreciate how they brought back the original actors, like, all of them. I'm talking like even Saruman, like Christopher Lee is 92 and he's still doing it. You know, hey, maybe we could see him in Silmarillion. No, I don't know if that's coming out anytime soon. I'm sure it will, but you know how it is. People say that we're pretty much done with Middle-earth, and we could be. I just figure that there will probably be retellings of these stories because there's a lot more to tell. I guess a lot more in between, a lot more details. And you know that they want to squeeze out every detail in these books, man. If they had the kind of power they do now with The Hobbit when making Lord of the Rings, each book, each of those fucking books would be trilogies, man. Honestly, I could see that happening with a retelling. I don't know if I'd want it to happen. I don't want them to, you know, ruin my childhood. No, they wouldn't. It's, you know, at least we got these original movies. If those end up sucking, who knows? But even if those retellings don't happen within a few decades or whatever, I really do believe that Silmarillion will happen eventually. to portray it on screen would be really difficult. It's a lot to take in. But even though J.R.R. Tolkien's son, Christopher Tolkien, doesn't really appreciate the kind of portrayal that Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit have been, I guess put through, and as a result, he won't give the rights out for Silmarillion because, I mean, he partially worked on it anyways. I feel like it could eventually happen. I don't know. I don't know what happens when he passes on in terms of the rights. I don't know if that's a bad thing to think about, but, anything can happen, and I do think that eventually we'll get some Silmarillion action up on screen. That's the point. And of course, I'm not advocating for everything that goes on in this movie. I mean, there is the weird CGI that pretty much happens throughout the whole series. You can look past it, though. In the third movie, Battle of the Five Armies, I mean, could be just me, but when I saw it in theaters, I mean, it looked good. I saw it in 2D. The armies, like, the orcs looked genuine. I thought it was cool, most of it. The thing about Azog with the CG that went down with him, I get that he's like a pale orc and, for the most part he's supposed to be, I guess, kind of plain looking. But I felt like a higher level of definition could have been incorporated. I don't know how it goes down, but I mean, I'm sure they did their best with what, they got. And like I said, I know there's a lot of filler with these movies, especially the first movie. It's just the fact that we're back to Middle-earth, for me at least. I don't know, as just a Middle-earth fan in general, it's just cool to just have as much content as I can have, even if that content can sometimes be kind of dull, kind of boring, I guess you could say, just to be able to look. I don't know if that's a proper reason to want so much content, but just to be able to look at this this environment, because you'll notice that there's a lot of camera work dedicated to like scenic showcasing, I guess. And there might also be like long discussions between certain characters, but that can help build relationships, and it might be boring to some people, but for a guy like me, I mean, it doesn't matter. I just like that shit, it's Middle-earth. I just get brought back to Lord of the Rings when I watch these movies, so I will take as much content as I can get, even if it's just two characters talking to each other for a while or whatever it might be. And that's also kind of a reason I thought Peter Jackson was a good director for this. He worked hard for the first trilogy, and when he came in to work on this trilogy, he was definitely unsure of himself, whether he would do well with it or not, but he got into it, and he put a lot of effort into this trilogy, and it really did show, because you got this seamless transition from both trilogies. You could just watch the 6-movie saga and just enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's really cool. He made sure that everything connected, which was like a big thing. Kind of as like a little example, you'd notice in the Fellowship of the Ring, there's an extended version for it. The Fellowship, they're on this journey and they stumble across these 3 stone trolls that are just, obviously solidified. And I guess they just took a quick break there as they were moving along. But those trolls were the trolls that you saw in The Hobbit, and they were froze the same exact way. Kind of another reason why Peter Jackson was great for this, because I don't know if any other director would do something like that, beyond that level of detail, although they might. I don't know. The last movie, Battle of the Five Armies, even though critically, I think it got rated the worst, which is fucking surprising. I thought it was the best of the 3, honestly. I mean, again, with the first trilogy, with Lord of the Rings, all of those movies led up to Return of the King, and that was a great movie. And I thought it was kind of the same with this trilogy, with The Hobbit. I mean, it led up to the Battle of the Five Armies, and it was worth it, man. A real quick specific note, one of my favorite characters in this, even though he doesn't show up that much, is Dane, because in the final battle he's riding this pig, man, and he's got this big ass mace, and he's headbutting orcs, and not even thinking twice about it. The way that they incorporated Bjorn into the fight was cool. But anyways, I don't want to digress from the main purpose of this. Just gonna go straight to the rating, I guess, for all of these movies. You guys may not know, but Iron Screen Reviews, we don't rate things numerically. We go way outside of the books here. So yeah, I'm making up words here big time, but the best rating this movie could possibly get would be fan-flibbity-tastic. Down from that is good shite. Down from that is dece, short for decent. Don't know how I'd spell that. I guess D-E-E-C-E. So that's a thing. Made up word. Down from that would be wow, amazing. You gotta have that ellipses. When I say wow, amazing, by the way, that's actually, the bad kind of amazing, guys. Take it easy. But you'll understand when I come to it. I will definitely sound as though I'm distressed in a way when I say that. Down from that is the lowest, which is Where Am I? So I'm going to go with, for this whole trilogy, Good Shite. I thought it was that good, man. Right below the best rating, I get that. I didn't think it was the perfect way to portray it. I really don't know what is, but it was really good. I did think this trilogy was really good, and I thought it was worth seeing, and I will definitely see it again for sure. All of the movies, that is. As for the saga, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, my favorite movies, man. All of those movies are my favorite movies. That's why this review might be kind of biased. But hey, whatever. If you're a big fan of Lord of the Rings like I am, and you haven't read the books, you're on my boat. Screw books, right, guys? Might get some hate for that. All right, see you guys later.